Today, Beej and Ian aren't here, which means they can't defend themselves or take responsibility. This is ChillPoint. They don't even have to take have to face the audience because of what they to be honest, they didn't really say anything like worse than we've had on a previous check. Like, I saw people in the comments being like, oh, you know, the Graham and Kathleen are the adults are away. Now I see what happens. And it's like,
and nothing really happened. Not
when
like,
the adults are here, they are yeah. I will tell you this right now. Kathleen and Graham are not
adults.
Well, they're not preventing Beej from writing anything he wants. Nobody can do that.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you that that Findom joke was mine.
I know. Everybody was very complimentary about that. Everyone was super excited or really liked that joke. And yeah, secret Heather joke. Yeah, it was an excellent joke.
Yeah, I like it. I prefer the idea of Findom to be about fish and sharks, particularly.
Yeah, yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about the week's video game news, as well as the episode of Checkpoint that just went up. Anything else that happens to come to mind?
Anything else we want to. No one is here to stop us. There's only two of us, so it's hard to stop us.
This stream is not sponsored by Bubbly. Although considering the velocity that we go through it, we'd be open to that.
Maybe we should be.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be.
Let's talk about some of the stories that happened on the episode of Checkpoint, starting with Star Citizen. That old chestnut.
The one that
we can always
rely on.
You can always go to
never be done.
If it's a slow news week, you can always go to Star Citizen for some kind of thing. Certainly not a game release, though.
A convention, apparently. I mean,
so yeah,
that's something.
To me, the biggest story. So you know, this story is about that. They had CitizenCon, the Star Citizen convention, and at that they demoed about an hour of Squadron 42, which is the sort of single player. Or I don't know if it's actually single player, but the like first person sort of offshoot of Star Citizen that was supposedly in polishing a year ago, and now they've said that it's going to be out, or they're looking at 2026.
That's a long polish.
That's very long polishing. Also, the demo that they did had some crashes and things.
Yeah, I'm sure that was all just an accident.
Now, to be fair, crashes during a demo, it's not like I respect that it was a real demo. It wasn't just like a pre-recorded video. I respect that they did try to do it. You know, it didn't work out. If you notice, I don't know if you saw the in the shoulder graphic, I used a I took a screenshot from their the presentation. You know, there's copies of the presentation on YouTube of one of the crashes, and the window that pops up, like, not only is it crashed, but the window that pops up actually says it's actually it's the crash reporter saying, I can't report this. So it's the crash reporter not being able
crashed.
to.
It can't tell you that it crashed.
Yeah, the crash reporter. So that's not a good sign.
No.
But anyway, there's a bunch of video. You can go on YouTube and you can actually watch, like, there's like Squadron 42 presentation brackets, no glitches. Like, they put like the how it was supposed to go online for you to watch, so you can watch it.
Well, that's nice of them, I guess.
But yeah, it's the biggest news for me about this is that not only is there CitizenCon, which, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't know of another convention for an unreleased property.
I mean, I don't know of many conventions that are for a single property like that.
I mean, they're yeah, usually it's more of a company, but
it's usually like it's a company thing or it's like a broader topic.
I mean, there's like Minecon for like Minecraft. And
Minecraft is like not one thing anymore, though.
Yeah, so not only is it a convention for this game that hasn't been released or is in alpha, it's a paid convention, like to attend.
Aren't most conventions?
I mean, most are, yeah, but it's not like it's not like a purely fan outreach thing. Also, at least from videos I've seen online, it's incredibly successful. Like,
well, I mean,
it was sold out.
So is their funding campaign.
This, like, that Squadron 42 presentation that crashed is in like an aircraft hangar filled with seats that's completely sold out. That many people, it looks like a PAX or something. Like, that many people are going to a convention for a game that they haven't played. Or maybe they played like the little, like the initial demo stuff where you can like walk around your ship and stuff. It's kind of blows my mind. Anyway.
Maybe that's where we need to have our convention, an aircraft hangar.
But
asterisks, we are not doing LurCon 2 until we say we are.
Yeah.
But at this point, no, it's never happening.
It's yeah. Anyway, it is it's an impressive thing. It's definitely I think it's past the like Duke Nukem Forever. I mean, we were talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, just all the games you can think of that are like the new stare off into the distance. Do you think it'll ever happen?
I mean, the joke is like Half-Life 3, but Valve has never said that they're even working on Half-Life 3. Like, it's not like Half-Life 3 keeps getting teased that they're working on. Valve is like...
I mean, they technically made a third Half-Life game, but they didn't call it Half-Life 3.
That was the, like, VR Alex game.
Yeah. I hear it's decent. I don't know.
And, yeah, I mean, Beyond Good and Evil 3... Beyond Good and Evil 2, they have teased, is still in development.
Yeah, but I don't want that version of Beyond Good and Evil 2 anyway. So I don't know that I care if that doesn't happen. Maybe they could pivot. They could make a Beyond Good and Evil 2 I would care about.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if it's not coming out, they could just tell me lies.
And again, I'm sure there are other instances of this. I feel like Beyond Good and Evil 2 is the game that has been announced as like a new game coming out the most times. Like I've seen at least like 3 or 4 announcents of Beyond Good and Evil 2, all of which were different games. Like the game that was being sort of shown off or teased was different each time. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's not much more to this other than I guess we'll see what happens in 2026, assuming we're all still here.
Oh, I don't know. There's plenty of reason to believe that they can continue to delay things in 2025 as part of an announcement.
That's true.
You don't have to wait all the way until your next supposed announcement release to do your delays.
Yeah, that's true.
You can always add those in.
Roberts Space Industries, the development company for Star Citizen. I mean, they do have a very extensive production timeline. What do you call it? Big sort of schedule thing. Roadmap, which itself has gone through several revisions that got delayed multiple times. But anyway, let's move on and talk about. Well, this is actually
There's multiple topics within that sex point.
This is a
right?
multi-story. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the first one was Nintendo.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of.
They applied for a bunch of trademarks.
Trademarks on IP for like restaurant, hotel-esque.
Yeah.
Things.
Now, the should we say the popular take on this, the whatever the not galaxy brain take, the just normal take on this is that it's going to be, you know, because they've done like promotional food items.
Oh sure,
for
there's
things
like
before.
There's all kinds of like pop-up cafes in Japan for different things.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've done a lot of character hotel stuff, but probably
That's
they've done theme parks and things,
that's the
so
smooth brain
that's
answer.
that's probably what's happening.
But the galaxy brain is what Beej figured out, is that, of course, what they mean is bringing back the love hotels.
Well,
Not
yeah.
just hotels. Love. As a side note, this picture or this article that Beej linked me to find the graphics for this on Nintendo Wire, which has, I guess, the only promotional image that people can find about it.
I mean, Hotel Mario was a game.
This was a
That was a game.
So this is not even a promotional thing.
This is not a promotional thing
Wow.
for love hotels. Their love hotels were a thing
That was way
that
pre.
they did
it was
prior
pre-
to doing video games.
That's very disappointing to me.
And yes, Account Made for Ants is correct. It's a game not even made by Nintendo.
See,
As
when
you
I
can see,
initially
Philips CDI.
when I initially saw this, because of the context that Beej linked me to it in, I thought that this was actually like a promotional thing, and I was like, "This is great."
No, this
not
is just a joke.
not only is it a Mario thing, like not only is Mario there, but like the particular pairs of guys that are coming out of the rooms. I was like, "Oh, I see. They were sharing a room, and they were sharing a room." Which also, I do not remember the Elvis impersonator Goomba.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is why it's very third party. But
Anyway.
yeah.
I was
no
deceived. And then the other story, the Potionomics.
Yeah,
Which,
this one's cool.
Have you played Potionomics?
I haven't, because I haven't gotten around to it, and honestly, I think it's still on like PC only, and I'd kind of like it to be on a console so that I can drag it around with me. But eventually, it's on my list of things I'd like to play. Just don't have time. But I had heard about the update that they did for
The Switch version just launched.
Oh, did it?
Ooh.
Well then, I'll have to.
But yeah, so it's a game about making potions, and also there's like romance stuff.
Yeah, it's very like. My understanding is like kind of Stardew Valley, except potion making over like farming.
Yeah.
So, but I had heard about the thing that they had added in where you could basically be poly or just monogamous.
Yeah,
in
well,
the
they
thing.
they previously so then yeah now there's was it free love mode and one love mode.
Yeah,
One love mode being the what was previously just like how the game
that
worked,
was just what they did.
which
Yeah.
is once you initiate a relationship with one character, that's blocked for all the other characters. Whereas now, whereas in free love mode, everyone's just ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, when you play a dating game, sometimes you just want that mode.
And
I'm just gonna go add that to my Nintendo wish list so I don't forget.
and they also have added two game modes: an easier one, cozy mode, and a harder one called capitalism mode.
Yeah, that's
um,
weird. It's
I
funny,
remember-
but yeah.
I don't know anything. There's a game called Alchemist Simulator.
Okay.
That is just because that has that's super. It's got that has super great mechanics for actually like the sort of mini game of how to make potions and stuff. It's got a really cool mechanic for it. It doesn't have much of a sort of larger story though, or any kind of romance or relationship stuff. But yeah, I'd be curious to see how this one. And then there's also DLC Boss Finn, who's like an anthropomorphic shark.
Yeah,
So that's
that
cool
that
too.
was news to me. I didn't know that was a character.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't really played this game. I've heard good things about it though.
Yeah. So yeah, check that one out. Yeah, it's true. In a dating game about making potions, love potions seems not the way it feels like that would be a problem.
I feel like it'd be like trying to make a love potion would just be really hard because most of the time whenever anyone brings in a love potion in a story anyway, it's typically to kind of be a fable as to like why messing with love like that is dangerous and the drawbacks to a thing like that, you know, like immortality stories.
Yeah, love potions generally. Yeah, it's hard to do it in a way that isn't super kind of squeaky.
Yes.
Anyway, and then The Sims.
The Sims. It's the Life and Death expansion.
Life and Death expansion, which, to be fair, does a lot more than just add the ability to date the Grim Reaper.
No, but that was the focus of that.
It's a whole thing about, it's like you can, it makes it so like ghosts can be actually like characters, like you can get them to do stuff and like
instead of just scaring people.
Yeah, they can go around and do stuff. There's certain things you can do to make them. I think they can actually like come back to life too if you do the right stuff.
Also, some light necromancy is what you're saying.
And I believe your sim can actually like become a Grim Reaper as well. Like you can, that's like a job that you can do.
Oh, please tell me they still do the thing where I have to look for the job in the newspaper. It's one of my favorite parts of Sims was like, I'd like to be a thief. I found an ad in the paper.
Nice.
Now I have weirdly office hours.
Now, something that people mentioned in the comments, and I'm not totally sure about this, but apparently this is actually reverting a change. So apparently you could initially the like try for baby woohoo you could initially do that with the Grim Reaper in Sims 4 because the Grim
Sims
Reaper was
4.
just a character like any other character.
Oh, okay.
And then there was an update a couple years ago where they removed that option. And somebody even mentioned that like we actually covered it on ChillPoint, which, to be fair, that sounds like something we would cover.
I don't remember that, but they've also missed a couple of weeks where somebody else had to edit. So
So it was sort of considered to be a bug because it was like you weren't supposed to be able to do it, but it just happened to work that you could. So they fixed that bug and made it so you couldn't do it anymore. And then people modded it back in, and then now they actually have like re-added it back as an official thing. So I like that now in the little like trailer, which is where I got like the screenshot where it's try for baby.
Yeah.
It doesn't show what happens when you try for baby in terms of what the baby is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to give all the game away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you could do it in previous games as well, apparently. Romance. Now, apparently, one of the other things you can do is if your sim is like dies, you can try to romance the Grim Reaper to like not take them and bring them back to life.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Which has got to be a
having,
conflict of interest in some way.
I don't remember ever having that as an option. I've never really. I've got 4 downloaded because at some point, like, the base game was free. And I really liked. I played a lot of Sims 3, and I've downloaded 4, but I've never opened it because I'm afraid that I'll never exist again.
Sims 4 is that game that I'm also kind of interested in playing it, mostly because the stories that I have, read about it for ChillPoint.
Oh, they're hilarious. The things you can do.
They very much conflict with what my conception of what The Sims is as a game. That it's like none of the things that people talk about. There's like RPG elements. There's all this there's all this stuff that it's like that doesn't sound like the Sims game that I know. Clearly, a lot has changed since The Sims 2 or whatever the last one I played was.
I know the last time I played it, I didn't do much of anything else, and I don't want to do that again.
Right. The other problem, although there's a problem that getting The Sims for free is not even that good anymore because there's like 50 paid deals. Like there's so many DLCs.
Yeah, every time we turn around, it feels like Sims 4 has a new DLC that they're talking about, and they're not cheap.
No, I think they're like $5 or $10 each. So
really, I thought they were like 15.
Oh, maybe even that.
But
so they can build up.
I mean,
quick.
I guess it depends on the DLC, but yeah. I don't know. I know once you start like looking at all of it, it's a huge money sink if you want all of them.
Right.
Right. And I feel like getting all of them is probably not the intention.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's easy to kind of get into that space where when you have a game, you want to buy all the DLC because you want to be able to do all the things. Expansions are $40. Packs are $5 to $10.
I see.
All
right. Then the next story here was about the Microsoft re-provisioning the 3 Mile Island Unit 2 power plant, which is so as you may have inferred.
Cameron wrote this story.
Yeah. And we had a bit of a back and forth with Cameron was wanting to do something about not even something about this and sort of also in a larger context because there's a couple of like Microsoft and Amazon and Google are all sort of in this area looking at pulling in new sources of electricity because and Cameron wanted to do a story about it and it was like that's great and we wanted to there's that aspect of like this is a sort of a tech story but not explicitly a video game story.
Yeah, and we do those every so often. We do tend to veer away from them because that's not really the subject matter, but
yeah,
good to know.
And I think there's obviously the strong connection here with Microsoft. A lot of this stuff, these are explicitly this stuff is for AI, both training and also just running AI stuff. And obviously AI stuff is a big part of Microsoft's Xbox Live and their video game development stuff, as well as their more sort of corporate stuff. So it's relevant. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it was it was an interesting it's an interesting thing of there's that aspect of like 3 Mile Island, holy crap, and then it's like one of the 3 Mile Island Unit 2, or one of the 3 Mile Island like power plant units has been operating all this time. Like 3 Mile Island, it's like, yeah, there was the accident, but it's like it's not like it's all like mothballed and they're reopening it and stuff. It has been operational all this time. They just weren't operating the one that was thing, but but that was less because that there was it wasn't because it was dangerous. It was because the financial obligations didn't work out to make it worthwhile. But now it does, apparently. So I don't know. I'm kind of I mean, as Ian or Cameron says here, you know, of the ways to get excess power, nuclear does seem like to be one of the better ones in terms of environmental impact, even with the couple of high-profile problems in comparison to coal or all the other ones. So yeah, and I will say that I have very mixed feelings about the various things that people call AI, because of course,
well,
AI covers such a ridiculously huge,
strangely generic term now.
It covers such a ridiculously huge swath of technologies that it's hard to be like AI bad when it's used in basically everything. But there's certainly a lot of aspects that's not great. Although, and
it's like weirdly unuseful in a lot of ways. Like they're trying to make certain things useful. Like we've covered a lot of the stuff about like, they're gonna like take over writing or voice work or even people in movies and that kind of thing. We've done a lot of that, but then you get a lot of like websites that I mean, they use the term AI and I can't even tell sometimes if they actually mean generative AI or not anymore, but it's like the YouTube backend has a thing in the comments. When I look at everybody's comments in the backend, for a while there were like these little text bubble suggestions that would show up that would be like, yeah, great, like you might get on like your phone as a typical response thing, very generic, right? Like a thumbs up or whatever. Recently they now have paragraphs of responses, and I literally saw one that was like, I don't know, somebody was like, oh, thing about whatever deck, and then the one of the responses was like, oh yes, we found this deck to be really difficult, but we thought it was really fun anyway. And I'm like, wait, what? And I went and I looked up the feature, and it's like, oh, we're trying to do AI to do this thing. And I'm like, cool, we can be really fake towards our fans, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I go to Amazon, and they've got a thing now above the reviews that's like, oh, we've summarized the reviews for you. And I'm like, yeah, but a bunch of reviews are fake robot reviews. You have to kind of like, the summary doesn't help me.
Yeah. Robots summarizing other robots, right, is going to be a large portion of this kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah. So anyway,
it's not super useful.
Yeah. You do end up in this sort of snake eating its tail kind of situation that isn't that interesting. But you know, the Cameron's line here of AI is doing valuable services like composing and summarizing an increasing percentage of correspondence, doing art, and so it frees you up to do valuable labor like mining uranium
Oh, right.
for our nuclear power
Yeah,
plants.
because like the last Apple thing where they have like Apple AI or whatever. I don't remember what name they're
Apple
calling
Intelligence.
it. Right. And when they showed off that feature, it was like, oh, your email, we could make a poem for you and we can do whatever. And I'm like, why would I do any of this?
Yeah, that doesn't seem like something I would want to do.
If I really wanted to make a poem, I'd do that.
Yeah. Anyway, actually, by the way, though, on sort of the sort of other side of it in terms of coolness, Adobe just demoed a program called Turntable
Okay.
that basically you can have a vector drawing in Illustrator
Mm-hmm.
of like a little dude, and turn it into this AI thing can analyze it and then rotate it. But it's in vector, like in Illustrator, so like rotates it, and it's still like a vector object that you can then like edit and do all stuff with. It's pretty bonkers, like that they were able to do there, and it's got like like a horse, and then they like rotate it, and it actually knows that the horse has four, like it's a horse like from a side view, but then they rotate it and the horse, like it knows that the horse should have four legs and stuff. Pretty cool. Maybe, I mean, so you only have to, the Can't Draw Horses Club only has to draw half a horse now, and AI will fill in the rest of the horse. But
Still gonna get not. Well, no, I've seen some of the horses that Corey has made.
Anyway, finally, in the episode checkpoint, we have this story, which is technically an old story, but Beej deliberately saved it for this week.
Oh yeah, I remember him talking about this a couple weeks ago. Actually, not on Checkpoint, but at home.
Somebody making a mod for Sonic Frontiers for Desert Bus, as in, well,
The
you
game.
can drive, as in you can run Sonic down the road, as if it was the Desert Bus. Now, the two things that I think it's like, I don't think Sonic has a pull to the side. Probably.
I don't know. I haven't played Frontiers, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Foxmart, you're in chat.
If Sonic's alignment is off a little bit, maybe.
Is his alignment off?
The other thing that I saw, somebody in the comments worked out, calculated out what 3 hours to do the run indicates. Something like 135 miles an hour or something he's running. And they're like, that seems a little slow for Sonic. Like, I feel like Sonic, boosting should be able to do faster than 135 miles an hour. But who knows?
I'm not. I feel like there's like some comic or show somewhere where they may have given him a number as to like how fast he can go, but
I do like that they made it the exact same. They made him whatever 45 miles an hour, I think, is what the speed is limited to in Desert Bus, when you're just like running normal speed. So that's the true Desert Bus experience if you really want that.
right. So boost Sonic, but don't boost him too hard. Just like get thread that needle.
I mean, there have been many Desert Bus mods for other games made over the years. I think my favorite was somebody made it. I think they just made it in like the Source engine or something, but they did a brilliant thing to do to do the pull to the right, is that in order to do the pull to the right and make it so you go back after 8 hours or whatever, they made the road a ginormous circle
Oh, okay. Yeah.
that's like 8 hours long in circumference. But the fact that it's a circle means that even though it like looks straight because it's such a gentle curve.
Yeah, the circle's so
But
large.
because it's a circle, you do end up drifting to the side as it goes, without them having to actually like implement any weird drift thing in the engine. Anyway.
But yeah, that means again, that story was done because Desert Bus is coming up in a couple weeks,
Yeah.
November 8th, which is funny because so many people around here seem to like keep thinking it's like next week. I
Yeah.
think we're
You're
already on like this weird time dilation.
you get into that prep mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true. Theoretically, there's another episode of ChillPoint next week.
Yeah.
I say theoretically because people will have just come back from MetroCon Vegas, and there's a PPR. There's a PPR the next day. There's a non-zero chance that it will get canceled, but at least at the moment,
Right. So
there's a
technically,
checkpoint.
currently, at time of us talking, there's a planned checkpoint for, I guess it'd be the 31st, which is
Yes.
fun. And if it doesn't happen, you're not getting checkpoint until later in November after Desert Bus.
Yeah. Boop, ba-doop, boop, boop.
What was there was a coming up. Coming up that was very interesting.
There was the Team Blue, Netflix.
Right.
Netflix's AAA focused game studio, or at least what they said was their AAA focused game studio. We don't really know because they never actually released it or announced anything. But anyway, they formed it 2 years ago with some industry veterans, some pretty heavy hitters from a couple of different other, from Blizzard and from various other companies. Has now been disbanded without them actually having
Made anything.
announced. Presumably they were working on something, but they never announced anything. So that's a little disappointing. I'll be honest. I don't know if it's like going to be a core service for them, but I personally have enjoyed. I have a Netflix subscription and being like, oh hey, this game that I kind of was interested in, I can now just play.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I know when Netflix
I don't
first
really
started doing games, they were all very like weird little generic games that had nothing interesting to them really.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, they're doing like kind of what they do with like a lot of Netflix originals, where they have it, but it's something that was made for something else, or they're paying for it to be made.
But like now they've got some, they've got like GTA, the GTA games. They've got, a bunch, the like oxen free.
But like a lot of them are games you could find elsewhere if you really wanted to, right?
Yeah.
I think Monument Valley 3 might be the first one.
It's going to be an exclusive,
that they have that isn't something I could just get somewhere else if I didn't care.
Yeah, it'll probably be like a timed exclusive too. Like I'm sure it'll show up somewhere else, but yeah, it's interesting.
So it's kind of one of those. Oh, do you already have a Netflix subscription? Well, here's an additional thing that's kind of a nice to have.
Yeah. I've actually been playing Arranger on my iPad, which is kind of I remember seeing like a trailer for it at one of the when we were doing one of the watch along for the Game Awards or one of those things.
Oh, okay.
But it's basically like the entire world is sliding blocks, like a sliding block puzzle.
Oh, right. It's where the whole world moves, but you need to like move some
So
stuff around
like in order for you to move, you have to move the entire world around you.
Yeah.
But you seem to be the only one to do it, which is kind of funny. So like,
It'd be really
you'll just
confusing if everyone did it.
well, but it's also just like like some other just like random person who's standing there will just get like carried along with you by mistake because you happen to be moving that column. It's kind of a neat,
Yeah,
it's kind of a neat game.
I've heard some people really like it, especially if you're really into the puzzle style games.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, Netflix shutting down a thing after, what is it, 2 years is
yeah, that's
kind of.
that's the joke. Yeah, the Netflix, because of the various vagaries of online streaming thing. Yeah, 1 or 2 seasons seems to be the limit to a lot of Netflix shows.
They do get quite a bit of anime I enjoy though now, which is
true.
Which is an interesting twist because they didn't used to.
Those Netflix original anime.
Yeah, they're doing Ranma 1/2, the new Ranma 1/2 remake.
Ranma 2 halves. Which I guess is just Ranma 1. Or maybe that's Ranma 1/4 if you add the 2 halves.
Maybe
I don't
it's
know.
an eighth. I don't know. Yeah, which I've only seen the first 2 episodes of because I think they're doing it weekly. So, but it's been good so far.
Nice. Also, now this might be a Canadian thing, and to be honest, it might just be like a slowly rolling out and just showed up on my account thing. But I have, I've got like a Roku with Netflix on it, and I got the like Netflix like on TV games show up,
Okay.
which is kind of, yeah, and so it's like you start the game and then you like download the app on your phone, and your phone is the controller. And you can move. It works like surprisingly well. Like it's sort of a game streaming thing effectively. All the games that were on there that I experimented with anyway were sort of puzzly type games. So like any latency didn't really matter too much. And it's like worked surprisingly well. There weren't any games that were like super impressive. Like again, it was mostly like sliding block type puzzles or like,
Okay, yeah. So some
Bejeweled
simpler
or
stuff
whatever. But it was a neat effect, a neat thing to be like, oh hey, my TV that my Roku suddenly actually has games on it, which is kind of weird. But anyway, let's move on to some of the things that didn't end up being talked about on episode of ChillPoint. Starting with the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown team at Ubisoft.
Yeah, that's weird.
Has apparently been disbanded. Now, the good news is apparently they have been repurposed, relocated to other studios at Ubisoft, but it's a shame. So the general consensus, whatever, is that The Lost Crown wasn't that successful as a game.
It didn't sell well. The sales were disappointing, or whatever
it didn't meet expectations.
Which I find so weird, as this game came out in like January, I think, and everybody I listen to who plays video games is like part of like they do content. We're really excited about this game. They really loved this game.
And like a couple months ago, the last stats I saw were from a while ago. I think they said like 300,000 sales and like $25 million or something. I don't know how much, and I haven't seen any stuff about like how much it cost to develop. I would put forward that one, I'm sure it cost. I'm sure it wasn't that expensive. I mean, it was probably more expensive than you would expect to develop, but it was probably not that. It's not that like AAA tier. They didn't spend $500,000 on it or whatever. I would put forward that over the next 3 or 4 years, I think Prince of Persia, I think Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is going to have a stronger long tail. It's going to continue selling. Just a little trickle. Much more so than something like, say, Skull and Bones or something like these like live service games. It's just going to be like, it's not going to be a number one seller, but it's going to account for like a couple percent of sales every quarter for like 5 years. Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. That's my idea is like you can make, if you can make 10 games like Prince of Persia for the same price as you can make Skull and Bones, you're in a way better position.
Lost Crown wasn't the only Prince of Persia game. I don't know if the other ones came out yet, but it wasn't the only one that people were talking about, because there were like a couple others as well. But this is the only one I've heard people talk about having played. So I don't know if the other ones have actually come out so much as they announced that those were being worked on. But I remember people talking about a feature of the game where, because it's essentially a Metroidvania style game.
Yeah, it's sort of a 2.5D whatever.
Yeah, and it's supposed to have like this map feature where a lot of Metroidvania games, they'll have the map and maybe you can put some pins on it to try to remind yourself that you need to go back somewhere or like of a thing. My understanding is there's like a picture, like you can just look at a picture of the room. Like
the mapping in a Metroidvania game, that's like one of my like number one, like my enjoyment of a Metroidvania game can like hinge on the map, right? Like if I'm going to have to do all this backtracking, I don't have that good a memory for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to play through the entire game 10 times because I have to go through every single room. Every time I get an upgrade, I have to go through every single room again to figure out where the hell I need to use it.
And that's what I mean. Like, again, I haven't played this game, but people talked about this feature of this game, and it sounds really cool. And I want it to show up in other Metroidvania style games, because I do not love Metroidvanias as like a when people are talking about, this game, it's a Metroidvania, you'll love it. I'm like, haha, no, I need to like the transversal, because I don't on a lot of games that are of that style, even like the ones people really like. And the mapping or the aesthetic better be super cute.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, that Hollow Knight is one of the, put up forward as one of the great Metroidvania style games. The map is not great. It's got aspects of it that I do not like.
That's fair.
The fact that being able to see yourself on the map is considered an upgrade that takes a slot.
Yeah, I'm not particularly hot on that, mostly because I get lost very easily.
Exactly.
I played Rogue Legacy 2, one of the things you can end up with as a trait is called cartographer, and it means you get to see the whole map.
Ooh.
But you can't see where you are. And I hate that so much that I avoid it, because I have to be like, I think I'm here in this thing, and I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I love the idea that a cartographer knows the map. They know the shape of the entire world, but not where they are. It's so poignant.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not super in love with all of the mapping things that happen with Hollow Knight, but I do love that when you pick up the map, that you look at it and like your character's still moving if you're doing stuff, which means that it's not really paused, but I still think it's really cute.
I like people. We've kind of locked in. I think like the base, the minimum that we've kind of locked into is just like a dot or a mark if there's something interesting in that room, which is like, okay, that's fine.
You end up usually having like a limit of what you can mark sometimes. And it's weird too, because there's some games where it's like the map, regardless of Metroidvania or not, the map will be like, it'll fill in for you, right? Which is very convenient and feels very nice. And then you have other games where if you want to mark something down important, you have to mark that down. Or you have something that's kind of like Etrian Odyssey, where you have to mark the entire map for everything, because that's part of the gameplay, which is neat. And I'll never do that, but it's neat.
My marking system started becoming quite Byzantine in like Tears of the Kingdom, because you're given a certain number of shapes and things that you can mark, right? And so then once you get into like using I started using like 2 marks in certain places, whereas like it's like sword means scary monster, but a sword with a leaf means this kind of scary monster, and the sword with a thing means this kind of. That's
you should see Beej's map, because
the
like
map
all the
starts getting-
islands where it's like, oh, this is like a 2-star fight or whatever level thing. He's put multiple stars down so he knows which areas to go back if he wants to do whatever. And I'm like, it was really cool that if I got a Korok seed, that it marked it on the map for me. And if I didn't, I have to mark that myself. That's fine. Be really nice if they marked whether or not I found that sign dude and got a sign put up.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do that?
You could have done that too.
Why? I
Yeah.
didn't realize that until like way later. I'm like, it's not that important.
The other side of that is, speaking of Ubisoft, there's a real problem with some of the more recent Assassin's Creed games, because they have an online component to them.
Okay.
They're not like multiplayer, but they have like a you can share stuff online kind of thing. You can like take,
so you don't have to be online to play the game.
You might. I don't know if you have to be like part of the. I don't know if you have to be like actually online to play. I don't think so. But if you are online, because I think you need an Ubisoft account to like play, because whatever.
Oh, right.
But it you can take pictures and like place them, and then you can see other people's pictures.
Oh, okay. That's
which is fun, except when you're like, oh, I need to find this magical artifact. And then you look and there's a mountain that has 30 pictures on top of the mountain. Even if you don't look at the pictures, it's still like, oh.
It's kind of.
So I have to turn, I always have to turn those off, like the first thing I do, because it's like, everyone's just like, oh, I want to take a picture of that the like special thing on that mountain. And it's like, oh.
I just picture that more of like a reality thing of like, oh, I'm going to go take a hike up a mountain. There's a lot of pictures people have just taken and thrown on the ground.
Yeah. But it'd be, it's like in a Metroidvania, if everything, it's not that it like marks when you've seen stuff, it's that everything is already marked before you even get there. That's not fun. Phoenix Rising did that, probably the same engine or whatever, but.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Ubisoft games do that kind of thing now, is my understanding. You like get a tower and then it gives you 50 things to go do or something.
Yeah, this is the sort of standard move. Anyway, the other thing that was interesting that came out of this story about what we were previously talking about, which is Prince of Persia Lost Crown studio being shut down. Or the team being shut down anyway. They're talking about how kind of relevant to what we were talking about earlier. So say apparently that in this video that somebody was making about this being shut down, saying that he all the staff that he spoke to on the Lost Crown saying that it was the best production of my life. That it was, that it was a really positive experience working on Lost Crown.
Cool.
They're saying apparently the team was kind of being used as a rehabilitation zone for staff burnt out on Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh my god.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's fine. You can go work on this other game.
You can just work on.
It'll be fun.
You can just
It'll be
work
fun.
on Prince of Persia.
Oh no. Well, I mean, I'm glad it was a positive experience. Like it sounded like it worked, but wow.
Like getting a rescue pet from the pound or something. That's super nervous. No, you don't. You don't have to stay late. You don't. You can go home. I can go home. So anyway, they're gone. So the because we've done stories about how Ubisoft has been under investigation by the French, whatever the French equivalent of the workers federate, like the worker trade federation or whatever, OSHA or whatever. They've been under investigation because of the excessive numbers of complaints of bad working conditions. So apparently, the one team at Ubisoft that people were really was working really positively has now been disbanded. So
not a lot of good things.
Let's go and talk about something else. Like, for instance, let's talk about the new update for Alan Wake 2.
Oh yeah, it's getting
harder.
like an expansion, right?
Uh,
Get up faster.
In this case,
Wake up super.
I think there is an expansion coming. In this case, the anniversary update that came out
so
a couple.
separate.
Yeah, so this is just just an update to the game. It came out a couple days ago to PC and consoles.
Sleep
But
for 5 more minutes.
the big thing that it added is a bunch of accessibility and gameplay toggles.
Oh, okay.
Whether for both sort of first-time players and stuff. What I liked about this is it gives kind of a certain insight into aspects of the game, where you see the different options that they have that they've made toggles for now. You can go into the menus. You can turn on quick turn, which is like you spin around with one button rather than having to turn around all the way. Autocomplete QuickTime events. Button tapping can just be a single tap. So like if you aren't good at doing the super fast taps, that's good. Weapon charging with taps, healing items with taps, light shifter with taps, player invulnerability, player immortality, one-shot kill, infinite ammo, and infinite flashlight batteries. Which the funny thing is in Alan Wake, I'm pretty sure infinite flashlight batteries is a more overpowered upgrade than infinite ammo.
Probably.
They've also put in support for PS5 gyroscopic aiming, which I've actually seen people were actually quite positive about them adding that, which I feel like that's like one of the first times I've ever seen people be positive about gyroscopic aiming. But if it works, it works. If you're happy with it, great. As long as it's not required.
They should make an Alan Wake alarm app.
Alan, wake up.
Yeah. Or maybe a sleep app.
To be honest, like considering in the movie or in the video game, he's supposed to be like a famous mystery author. I feel like that might be like that could be like merchandise that exists in the game.
An alarm clock?
In the world of the game, yeah. That there would be like an Alan wake up alarm
Does
clock.
he have like a bunch of merch?
I don't know.
I don't think
so. He's supposed to be like a Stephen King type. So like I feel like he might have some stuff.
At that point it would be like the books that you've written and then maybe like the movie adaptations. Maybe you get like a radio play.
Yeah.
But probably nothing in terms of like notebooks and binders or cute stickers.
Also, haptics will now rumble for healing items and throwables, whereas previously it was just for firing weapons and stuff. They've also added the ability to X-invert for mouse and controller, which I've seen on a few games. I have never wanted that, but I'm if it's good for you, then okay. I don't like invert Y, but I understand it.
Oh, I hate inverted controls.
But inverted X seems totally weird.
No.
But
it's one of the things that Ian and I disagree on the most when we go to play a game. Is he likes inverted controls and I hate inverted controls. So
Ian is very strongly into inverted Y controls.
Yeah, it really only came up during that one game we played. But since we were swapping back and forth every hour, we had to change the controls.
I have a problem sometimes with first person games. I don't like it, but then third person I do. I don't know. I sometimes lose track of which way I like it, so that I basically just end up always going the wrong way, and I hate it. But anyway.
I mean, it's generally, when it comes down to it, it's partially preference, but it's also a consistency thing, right?
Yeah.
So.
And it is, like Jesse would say, inverted Y for flying, regular Y for everything else. I think I also have that.
No.
But it's, it's weird. It's like what your brain is sort of expecting. It's like, I'm pretty sure when I played, I could never playing say Legend of Zelda, you playing Tears of the Kingdom. Everything is great, but when I go into aim mode, I 90% of the time I go the wrong way. No matter which way I set it to, it's always the wrong way.
Yeah, if I'm playing a game long enough and I can't, because sometimes you can't change the controls out of inverted or to inverted or whatever. Sometimes that's just not an option. I will get used to whatever the game is playing for me eventually, and I will hate it if it's stuck on inverted. But
yeah, Final Fantasy 12 was locked with X inverted, the first version that came out. I'm sure they fixed it on the updates, but I remember that it had, you couldn't change it, and it was X invert, your horizontal was inverted. It took me. I was like, why? I've never seen this. Why is this a thing? Anyway. We talked briefly last time about this Nintendo on Switch Online
the playtest.
Mysterious playtest.
Well, because last time we talked about it, it was just a sign up.
Yeah. It was sign up and mystery, and it was like, ooh, I wonder what we'll find out. I wonder if, find out what it's about. People are signing, NDAs or whatever. Who knows if it will leak? It did immediately.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew it was going to.
And not just a little bit,
oh no,
just a sieve. It's just people posted videos, people posted screenshots.
So I think somebody tried to stream it for a bit, and that got knocked down fairly quickly, because it will. People do that quite often, where they will try to stream something that has either it has an NDA or they've gotten it early, and they shouldn't have, or whatever, right? And those typically get knocked down pretty quick. But we're in the phase now where people have downloaded and started the playtest, because I think it still goes on for a little longer. I can't remember. Those are details I would care more about if I was doing it. And yeah, it seems to be some sort of weird. I kept seeing the term user-generated content.
Yeah, the other example I've heard, is the sort of Little Big Planet or Fortnite's doing it too now with the sort of
there's building stuff, plant thing going on,
getting that Roblox cash.
Everybody kind of looks like little cavemen or something.
Oh really? They're not. It's not like Mii's or something.
No.
So yeah, we. I won't say that we don't know more about it, but to be honest,
it's more like I don't care.
Yeah,
about
to be honest, it's the excitement level. I feel like the excitement level of this thing went from woo to nothing.
I mean, because last time, Beej was like, ooh, it could be like a Satellaview thing, which would have been really cool. And I was like, oh, Miiverse could come
Miiverse,
back. And
right.
we made like an ice cream bet because it was like, sure, one of these is probably right, and they're both wrong. Which, sure, doesn't matter. Still gonna go get ice cream later.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought I would care more. I just don't.
Ouch.
Mystery box sucked. I don't know. Maybe like it's a test thing. So maybe after that comes down, they do whatever and they release whatever this really is supposed to be later when we have a name we can call it. Or
right, yeah.
Because maybe it's just like it's some features that'll make its way into other stuff, even stuff that is not super interesting to me. Sometimes ends up developing in other ways in other places that could be more interesting for other things, right? But right now I just don't care. Which is fine. Because what? If I really cared, like if I was like, oh no, this is super exciting, this thing, this playtest, whatever, it's gonna go away, we don't know when it would come out. So that'd just be another thing on the pile for me to be like, well, cool, I'll wait for that. Yep.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe it'll be cool.
Maybe it'll be cool, and by the time it's cool, I can care. But I don't right now.
The Bijanian talked a little bit about the de novo.
Oh yeah.
DRM, or not that de novo exists, but this thing of them trying to do some PR stuff recently, although it seems like a little bit of a losing battle.
Yeah.
This is the project manager Andreas Ullmann, who is doing the interview circuit apparently. He says, I think it's super hard for a gamer. I'm a gamer myself, and therefore I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I think it's super hard to see as a gamer, what is the immediate benefit for me that a certain game developer, game publisher is using our anti-piracy services. He cited a news, which is he cites a new study that suggested that piracy takes about 20% of a game's revenue. If I, as a gamer, would read that, I see, okay, then these big corporations are just making even more money. But again, this does not have an immediate benefit for me as a player. But you look further, the more successful a game is, the longer we'll get updates, the more additional content will come for the game, the more likely it is there'll be the next iteration of the game. That's basically the benefits we offer to the average player.
So nothing about how a lot of these systems slow down a game or make things chug, or a lot of DRM things want to like be at the core root of your computer, or all the other fun things that no one really likes.
So yeah, here's this. As for material complaints about de novo, namely that it negatively affects performance of some games, he says there are valid cases, especially when we're talking about the one that comes up on a regular basis, Tekken 7, which was confirmed by the technical producer back in the day on Twitter. Apparently Tekken 7 is particularly bad in terms of being messed up by the nouveau. Thing is, I think it's important to understand how our solution works. It's also worth considering because when these performance claims come up, it's mostly Tekken that the people are referring to. But considering that we are protecting the 60 to 70 games every year, it's quite interesting to see that there's only, if even a handful of games where there's an effective performance impact cost, and it's really just a majority or a minority. So, you know, but nobody talks about all the games that we don't screw up the performance of. Is like not the best
expect
defense.
A game to not screw up.
I mean, you know, I have a certain amount of sympathy just in the sense of, it's like, yeah, trying to make this into a value proposition for the players is not very like, and it is like fundamentally. I remember reading an article about anti-cheat software, so different deal, anti-cheat, but it's a similar aspect where it's like fundamentally you are using resources on the person's computer for something that they don't want.
Yeah.
Like whether it's anti-cheat, like if you're a cheater, you don't want the anti-cheat stuff. If you're not a cheater, there's no, you don't want it there because it's using up resources for something that you're not doing, right? It's like, I don't need anti-cheat software. I'm not cheating. If you're not pirating the game, the de novo thing is just a net loss for you.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's hard to make that be attractive to the players.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't really trust a corporation that cites a study because most studies.
Yeah, I don't know what this.
What is the study on? Like, okay, sure. Depending on how you do your numbers, you can make anything sound pretty alarming.
Yeah.
Because while I agree, you could probably get a number like 20% of revenue or from a game. Let's say that's true. That's happening. That 20% of people who are playing a game haven't purchased that game. That does not equal 20% of people would definitely go out and purchase that game if they couldn't download it.
Right. Yeah. Finding that. Yeah. There's this article, the article or the study that where they talk about, where this where that number came from. You can take it whatever way you want to take it. I will say that the study is more complicated than just what the how many sales the company feels like they missed. But
and I know when you're a company or you're an investor and your whole point is to try to make money, when you hear that that people are taking a thing and you're not getting the money that you expect to be getting from that thing. I understand why this whole thing exists. I just don't think that's necessarily a benefit to the gamer.
What I find particularly interesting is the thing that's happened quite a few times where after a couple of months, a game will be updated to drop the de novo protection, with the idea being that like the majority of the financial benefit is in the first couple months of selling it, and then they drop the de novo copy protection, which sometimes coincidentally also gives a boost in performance. Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, most games try to decide whether or not they're successful off of the first week of sales.
Right.
So.
Or in other cases, the first 3 days or whatever.
Yeah, just weird math. Because Ubisoft, the Crown Prince having disappointing sales or whatever. I can guarantee a whole bunch of people saw it was an Ubisoft game and it was like, oh, I'll just grab that one that's like 70% off.
It's true. I mean, we talked about this, that that in some way that Nintendo has an advantage in that respect, is that they've been, they've trained their audience that there isn't going to be a sale.
Not like that.
Or at least not like that.
You're not.
And so they, if it's not an easy road that they've gone on, but if they can maintain that, like it ain't, buy it now or buy it later, whatever, it ain't going to get cheaper. Whereas Ubisoft, it's like, it'll be $5 in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, but the amount of games you have to play, that you have at your disposal that you're already trying to play.
Yeah.
Is it a big deal if you wait a year? Probably not.
Boop, ba-doop, boop, boop. Now, this is a story. I mentioned it a couple times before, but big shout outs to one of the things that we've implemented in the last month or two is the mods have been giving me some great checkpoint.
Yeah, we started
story,
talking to our mods finally.
Yeah, checkpoint story tips.
Just in general. No.
Which there's been some great stuff that they've seen that that didn't come through my the various feeds and stuff that I was looking at. One of which is there's now a lot of this is sometimes it's like yet again or oh yeah, what's new, but people are unhappy in Destiny 2.
People are unhappy in Destiny 2. Oh no. Alert the media. Write a quick article for clicks.
So now I believe these various a lot of these online journals or all online sort of newspapers and stuff have sort of contributors and things. It's still really funny to see an article about Destiny 2 in Forbes magazine.
Yeah, I mean a lot of those publications have started having people who do kind of, if they're not doing video games outright, they're probably doing kind of a tech beat of some kind.
So anyway, what this particular issue is actually an issue that has come up many times before and has been sort of quashed before, but it just keeps coming back. So basically,
wait, is that issue that Destiny 2 people are unhappy and then we squashed them all, but they came back? So that sounds like a Destiny 2 player.
So the issue is that players feel that the drop rates of certain things are not correct. Like they are not what they appear to be.
Okay.
Or what they should be.
They should be.
Not even like what they think they should be, but like what they are advertised as.
Oh, okay.
That the drop rate is lower than advertised or not correct.
Okay.
And so it's an issue that apparently the VS Chill inhibitor, which is a heavy grenade launcher, it's the perks on the weapon. So
okay,
like the particular style of the weapon. They're saying that that like a particular combination that should have shown up more, like that was like the best version of the weapon, should have shown up and was just like not, like people could run data analysis and it was just like showing up almost never, where it should have been showing up more. And then Bungie responds and they look into it and say like, no, everything seems to be working fine by our estimation. And then they say, nope, nothing, everything seems to be fine. And then people will grumble and go away. And then another thing will come out and a similar problem will happen. So yet another thing has come up, being that they can, by using some of the sort of back-end information that people have been able to sort of scrape from the servers and stuff, that they're actually, this person, T1 Vendetta, has basically tried to work out what he thinks is the problem in how the sort of RNG system that they're using to calculate these perks. They're saying that there's basically some bias in how the different, like certain combinations of perks are always happening together instead of them being random in the way they should be.
Yeah, okay.
And that this has been going on for like a really long time. Now, so this is this particular article in Forbes is maybe a little. Now I don't know. I haven't played Destiny. I don't know how like breaking this is a thing, because I mean this person is putting forward, saying, I cannot overstate how wild this is. This is no longer just conspiracy theorizing, but as in this, but there are many Destiny fans with backgrounds in statistics running these numbers, and this explanation does make sense. So,
Okay.
if Bungie looks into this and admits that, whoops, this is actually happening, players will be furious. And in this instance, they definitely have every right to be. Dozens or even hundreds of hours per player of farming for one of these borderline impossible roles because they've screwed up on a system that weights the drops differently than what they're expecting.
So, I mean, I don't play Destiny, but I've played other games where the game gives you things, or you need to do things to acquire specific things. And usually when there's a problem like that, where it's like, oh, we realize this thing hasn't been going out, they tell you, and they expect you to be angry, which is why they just typically give it to everybody, or give you like some sort of benefit.
So they have actually responded, Destiny 2 team. There's an update to the story that says, regarding the further reports of perk weighting, while we have confirmed that there's no intentional perk weighting on weapons within our content setup, we are now investigating a potential issue with our code for how RNG perks are generated. So many thanks to all the players who have brought this. Many thanks to all players who have been continuing data collection across the community. Data has been monumentally helpful with our investigation. We are currently working on internal simulations to confirm your findings. We'll provide more information as soon as it is available. Which is great, except for the fact that theoretically this has been happening for like years and they sort of dismissed it.
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, because I don't know how you would do this, but if you see that is a thing and you go and you check your systems and you're like, no, everything's working the way it's supposed to be, you might dismiss it.
And
it might just be
Socratic Method in the chat says here, actually, there's another update. Our team has been working through community source data and internal things regarding we reported issues regarding legendary weapon perk RNG. After investigation, we confirm that there is an issue been found in our code where some random perk combinations are harder to earn per legendary perk set. In some cases, the desirable perk combinations are a bit easier to earn as well. While we have inspected our content and confirmed each perk is weighted equally, an issue in perk pool RNG is the culprit here. Our team has quickly identified a potential solution to the issue, and we're rapidly working to validate the fix. We are aiming to address it's so. Anyway, it sounds like that they have actually found there's this really interesting thing of when you didn't get into like random numbers, and this thing of like, it's like, yes, you can, even if you don't have a bug with your random generation, like even if your random numbers are truly random, how you use those random numbers can make a big difference, and depending on various other factors. You can mathematically kind of mess yourself up by using doing things in what appears to be a random way, but statistically actually will cause you problems.
sure.
Yeah.
I just know like for an issue like that, if everything appears fine when you glance at it or you do whatever, or code is not small, it's just a lot of stuff you have to look through, so it's not surprising to me for someone to be like, oh, okay, and then dismiss it, because it's not the only thing you have to do that day.
Yeah, and it's easy, especially something like, the drops aren't getting the right thing. Like, there's probably a lot of sort of noise there, right? There's a certain level of people being angry that they're not getting the right loot
Yeah.
drops that is just expected. So, it's hard to differentiate that between there is actually a problem and just loot drops are difficult sometimes. What else we got going on here?
Definitely wouldn't want to have to be that community manager, though.
Yeah, although I feel like the
I don't know if they have a community manager, because not every game does, but I wouldn't want to be that.
I feel like the Destiny community managers are probably pretty battle hardened at this point. Hopefully they get some sort of hazard pay. Here's an interesting story just as a final thing here. I think a final thing, might be one or two others, but anyway. Twitch has had a developer badge for quite a while. So like if you are the developer of a game, you can get a special badge.
Yeah,
so that when
beside
you
your
show
name,
up,
so that people know.
so that when you show up in the stream of that game, people are like, "Oh, hey, it's whatever guy.
Right.
You made this game. That's cool." Or you made this game that I'm playing. That's super cool. They are discontinuing that.
Have they said why?
So it was introduced in 2022 as a way for developers to be more visible and verifiable in chat. The problem is the verifiable bit. They say that after the developer badge launch, it has led to an increased volume in organization requests, both legitimate and not. In terms, so like you have to prove that you're the developer in order to get this
otherwise
authentication thing. And apparently the queue to check whether people should get sort of developer to become a developer organization, which gives you other benefits other than just this badge. There's like the developer organization also makes it so you can do special kinds of extensions and like drops and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And you get special stats about like how your game is doing on the Twitch platform and things. But what they feel anyway that the developer badge concept is there's so many people who want the developer badges who don't necessarily want like the other aspects of being a developer, but they want the badge, and so they're basically the developer authentication system has gotten so backed up that developers are having to wait like months in order to do it. So the solution, which to me doesn't feel like a great solution, but the solution is they're decommissioning the developer badge, and they are basically declaring bankruptcy on the like authentication queue. So they're just like, if you send in a request before November 1st, or if you so developers who send in a request before November 1st will get an email saying your request basically has been denied. Please resubmit it. And so after November 1st, they are saying that they're going to be reviewing them, like they're going to try to get all the reviews done within a month. They're going to try to do it so that give you like that you will be reviewed within a month. But basically, they're clearing the queue.
Yeah.
And doing it, which I guess we'll find out whether it was the developer badges that were the slowing things. Like in some ways, this seems like kind of a stopgap maneuver where it's just like, we're going to clear the queue and try again.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I don't know how many people they have running with this, but
it's hard because it sounds like something they put into effect that maybe they expected to have like a lot of people up front, and then it would slow down,
Yeah.
and maybe it didn't,
And
or they didn't have the resources to really manage.
there's also a fairly pointed thing in here about increased volume in organizational requests, both legitimate and not. So I guess there's a thing if you want to, you can like try to basically like take responsibility or pretend that you're a developer for somebody's game and then get like access to information that you shouldn't have.
Well, that's assuming they let you through.
But like that's why they have to do the
It was
authentication
why you
stuff.
need to check, but I don't know.
So anyway, we'll see if that is. It seemed like a cool thing, but I guess if developers are like, I actually have to, I want to get analytics and stuff, and I can't get approved within 6 months, I could see how that would be bad. Maybe the problem is they don't have enough people doing that thing, but
Maybe
you know what?
it sounds often when it comes down to certain things like that. Like we have that happen at the office.
yeah,
People are constantly asking us to give them a developer badge, and we just don't have the resources to do it.
it's true. Yeah,
Ah.
the Professor Picklesworth developers have been waiting for a very long time. Hey, what is this a costume of?
It looks like a Pepto-Bismol hot dog.
You're close.
Oh, yay me!
It's a hot dog. It's a hot dog costume. That is in the game Dress to Impress, which is a Roblox game. Like it's a
It's cool.
Roblox experience. I don't know. It's one of the most popular games built in Roblox.
All right.
Remember how I said Prince of Persia, the Stolen Crown or the whatever, sold 300,000 copies? This has 300,000 people who are like actually playing it currently.
Okay.
So it's kind of a big thing.
Uh-huh.
They made a hot dog costume,
Uh-huh.
like you do. So the premise of the game, it actually sounds like kind of a cool thing. It's like I think what it is like you are given a like a prompt, and then everybody has to like run out and get put on a costume that like best represents that, and then people vote on
Oh, okay, sure.
whose costume is best. Anyway, they added a hot dog to it, and as part of like a Halloween thing, and you can color costumes. You can color outfits, and it turns out if you make the hot dog pink, and then you also wear a pink like toque.
Like a toque, or I don't know. What you guys call them, beanies or something?
Yeah. Yeah. As an update, in case you haven't already seen, the hot dog costume will be temporarily removed from DTI, Just to Impress, due to inappropriate usage. We plan to bring it back later with limitations on how you can color it and couple it with other items.
Uh-huh.
So now you have a cupcake instead of a hot dog. This is why we can't have nice things, people.
I mean, it's Roblox. There's nothing.
That's true. It wasn't really that nice.
It wasn't that nice to begin with. It had different set dressing.
Anyway, I feel like also I think this may be a losing battle, like
But trying to get people to not do things that are.
or just like I remember like when Nintendo Mii's or whatever, like players life finds a way. That's what I'm saying. If players want to do express something dirty in your game,
It's one of the first
they will
things
find
they
a
will
way
do.
to do it.
It's one of the first things they will try to do.
I've talked about this before, but I'm always amazed at in like, Magic Arena. I think there's only like 4 things you can say to your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of like etiquette and insult that you can give by putting the wrong one of those 4 things at the wrong time, that people will find a way to insult each other or embarrass each other.
You can restrict words and gestures all you want.
Yeah.
We know how to hurt everybody. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy to hurt people.
Yeah. I was hoping that they it's like we've removed the hot dog due to some inappropriate usage. We've replaced it with an eggplant. I do also like they're going to bring it back later with limitations on how you can color it and how you can couple it with other items. So it's like, I feel like that's just going to cause more it's like you can have a regular hot dog. You can even have a pink hot dog. But then if you try to put on the pink hat, it's like, no. You can only have other colors of hats. You can change the color of the hot dog and then you can have the pink hat.
Then, orange becomes the new pink. It might not look like a thing, but everybody knows.
Right. That's the other one, right? Is that there's a certain point where you don't even need to be representing the thing.
Yeah.
If it just becomes a meme. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if people start doing wearing around the cupcake because everybody knows that the cupcake means penis or whatever.
They did like an entire episode of Recess on swearing essentially and how the kids weren't allowed to say bad things, and so they just started saying things like "it womps," and then because the adults started to realize what that meant, they got all like in a hissy fit over it, and it's just like, yeah, no.
It's like, unless you remove literally every word.
And even then, we're going to find a different noise or something.
Yeah. There's just no way.
You can't stop people.
Yeah. Like, I just wanted to make an app where people could express their love of peaches.
And now everything's about butts.
What? Was there something else? I think.
Did we run out of topics?
That was
we had news.
The last topic I wanted to.
I mean, it is 3:45.
Yeah.
We're going to want to wrap up so that we can eat before we have other work to do.
It's true. So yes, that is the last bit of video game news, at least that I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm. If you're watching this on YouTube, I don't know, tell us about what color you would make the hot dog.
What color would you make the hot dog to make sure that nobody could misconstrue what you're dressed as?
Yeah, do that.
Foolproof.
That would be fun to read. I could use a laugh.
Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you haven't seen this week's episode of ChillPoint, you should check it out. It is, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's probably somewhere around this video.
You could also just subscribe to the LRR VG channel if you're feeling peppy.
And you could also become a member. And if you do that, then you will get listed in the credits at the end of the ChillPoint episode. Or you could also subscribe here on Twitch. You can support us on our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. You could buy things at the store like this super sweet hoodie, which I will talk about when I'm actually at the microphone. The super sweet hoodie, or all the different other shirts and play mats and different fun things that we have on the store.
Yeah, you could take a look at the store now. Maybe pick out a few things.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because in a couple of weeks when Desert Bus hits, it's the same store. So,
You can gang up your order a little bit.
yeah.
And if there's something that you want, make sure you put in your email address and ask to be notified when it comes in, because that is very useful information for us to know what things people want and what sizes they want.
Yeah,
and all
also
that good
definitely
stuff.
putting your size if there's a size
Yes.
item. That's very important. It really helps.
Yeah, otherwise we're like, oh, fine, I guess we'll order 50 extra smalls. And then nobody actually wants that size. But that's just the
a bad
default
idea
size,
for us to do.
All right.
I mean, unless you want to buy 4 extra smalls and then sew them together into a fancy. How many sleeves does that give you? 8. And maybe you might have extra arms. I don't
Maybe a
know.
little teeny weeny octopus.
Baby octopus.
Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us, and we will talk to all y'all later. Bye.